Fatal Frame Maiden of Black Water, developed by Koei Tecmo, is a third-person survival horror game in a franchise that puts an interesting spin on the genre due to the fact that you fight malevolent spirits not with guns or rusty pipes, but with photography. I will try to be as objective as I possibly can with this review, but I just wanted to say up front that the Fatal Frame series has an enormous place in my heart because it's actually the first horror series that really turned me on to the rest of the genre. I can still remember the genuine terror I felt playing the first game, unable to put the camera down lest a ghost should attack me while I was unprepared. Furthermore, Fatal Frame not only molded me into the horror gamer I am today, but it also opened my eyes to Japanese ghost stories and horror in general, so this review is a pretty big deal for me. Maiden of Black Water is technically the 5th title in the Fatal Frame series, and it first saw the light of day on the Wii U, back in 2014. Like most of the world, I didn't see the fucking point of the Wii U, and in fact, didn't realize it was its own console until well past its lifespan. That being the case, I thought little of Maiden of Black Water until its release on Steam in October of this past year, this being the version I played. For those unfamiliar with the series, Fatal Frame is similar to Resident Evil and Silent Hill in that it is a third-person survival horror game, complete with awkward movement mechanics, too many people being careless with their diaries, healing items, and combat. The main difference is that you only get one weapon, the camera obscura. This curious object takes photographs that reveal elements from the world of the unseen, the world of spirits. You can use the camera in order to enter first-person combat with ghosts, dealing damage based on the quality of your shots, and the closer a ghost is to harming you, the more damage dealt. High risk, high reward. But let's just focus on the camera obscura as it exists in Maiden of Black Water. Whoa, RavenRook. One weapon, you say? That sounds pretty boring, and normally I'd agree, but in Maiden of Black Water, as in the other titles, you get various lenses and add-ons that allow you to augment the functionality of your camera obscura. For instance, you can equip a dodge function, which allows you to sidestep a ghost without receiving damage, if you time it correctly. The lenses also allow you to convert spirit power, accumulated by snapping cool pics of ghosties, into special shots that deal more damage, increase the points you earn from shots, or even replenish your health based on damage dealt. And I mentioned points. You earn points for your shots as well, which can then be spent toward improving your camera's functionality and the power of your lenses. All in all, Fatal Frame expertly negates any potential criticism regarding being a one-trick pony by having one weapon that the player can customize to match his, her, or their unique playstyle. The Fatal Frame series might also take first prize in my estimation for best soundscape, and Maiden of Black Water once again affirmed my opinion. The sound effects and soundtrack match the environment and amplify the overall creep factor in such an effective way. From the battle scenes to the mundane exploration phases, nothing ever seems certain or safe. Things could go south and spooky at any moment, and the soundscape never gives you a momentary reprieve from the tension. My only complaint regarding this is the lines of dialogue the ghost enemies have. There is so much other auditory and visual stimulation going on during combat that I don't think I've ever been able to focus on what the ghosts are actually saying as they are lunging at me. The few phrases I do catch are appropriate and add to the overall horror, but they just end up getting drowned out in all the excitement. The environments in Maiden of Black Water are also beautifully horrifying and well constructed. If you wanted to, you could get lost exploring them and never find your way to the end of a drop. That being said, I did find myself having to pull up my map an inordinate amount of times due to how much the paths branch off and diverge. So maybe the maps are a bit too full for the scope of the game? I'm honestly on the fence about that though, so take it or leave it. As far as the storyline goes, it's very much like other entries in the series, but it manages to be just as fresh and gripping. That's honestly impressive because it can be reduced to the following. Spiritually sensitive people learn about a fucked up ritual at a location and end up being inexplicably drawn to it over and over again. The spirits confuse said people for other spirits who have already played their part in the ritual and try to make them endure it again in a cyclic fashion. And I'll stop there because I just about gave away the formulaic ending. However formulaic though it may be, the plot is so rich and compelling that I don't care that it's been done before because it's being done excellently now. My final point regarding Maiden of Black Water would have to be the scare rating. It's honestly not as high as I hoped it would have been. Sure, the narrative is creepy and the environments are engrossing and filled me with dread, but I very rarely felt truly frightened. The ghost battles ended up being clunky and repetitive, there were far too many of them and not enough exploration of the world and teasing me with jump scares or things happening out of the corner of my eye. Now wait a minute, there's something you don't hear every day. There weren't enough jump scares. Normally horror games rely too heavily on this device. It's a veritable refuge for substandard horror games. But I'll say it again, there weren't enough jump scares. Koei Tecmo, get your shit together. Honestly, if the devs released this game again and magically adjusted the ratio of ghost fights and jump scares, this might become one of my favorite horror games, but sadly, I found myself more frustrated than scared. All that being said, I still highly recommend this game for any Japanese horror fans or diehard fans of the franchise. It's $39.99 on Steam, which I think is a fair price for what you get, but I could also see wanting to wait till it goes on sale. Anyway, let me know your thoughts on this game. How do you think it compares to the other entries in the series? And thanks for watching.